Today's guest is Joseph Rosehart, who specializes in guiding mid-career professionals through personal and professional transformations. With a focus on mindset training, leadership development, and career growth, the coaching services offered at tailored programs, including resume reviews, LinkedIn optimization, and career strategies. And through his signature Quantum Loop program, Joseph integrates mindset coaching with practical tools to help his clients overcome obstacles and achieve lasting career success. So, Joseph, thank you very much for being on. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. So, yeah, I mean, it's always nice when I have another coach that's on here, simply because I'm always a fan when people walk their own talk. And I know it's not easy to be coached live on air in this way. So, I know I told you this off air, but I just want to kind of acknowledge it even on air. And yeah, I'd love for you just to add anything to that bio of like who you are, how you got to doing what you're doing. Kind of floor is yours for that.
Oh, great. Thank you. The bio was great and pretty spot on. I got into this through transformational training about 4 years ago. I've always kind of had a calling to helping others. I've been doing helping my friends and stuff with their resumes since college and everything. So that kind of just put everything all together. What really kickstarted everything was last November. My dad passed away, and I knew that he's barely started in the last 10 years doing what he actually wanted to do and volunteering, helping, and being part of the community and everything. And that kind of gave me that extra push to be like, well, I don't want to be stuck in my project management career, which I've been doing for 11 years. I want to do what I want to do, and I just put my thoughts and stuff action into action. So that's what prompted me to be here.
Okay, got it. Well, I mean, that's like it's a beautiful story of like a very powerful catalyst to get you moving in a direction that you want to go, right? It's just like like what I'm hearing kind of behind the scenes is like what a beautiful way to honor your dad's memory by being like, okay, I'm going to use this example to move into what it is that I want to do. So, yeah, if there's anything else you want to add to that, by all means.
Yeah, it's that's kind of what really prompted me to get started and to make it official instead of just doing like coaching staff for other centers and stuff and being involved that way and mentoring that way. And now it's just like, you know what? Now my time's now. Let me get this started as a full business, and let me get out there and start helping people. And you're right, it is honoring my dad. Actually, today is his actual birthday, so it's like
Oh, wow. Okay.
it's kind of nice to be able to like keep busy and to honor his life by doing coaching and then to actually do something that I actually love.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I hope we honor his birthday in the right way possible. So I'm glad to be able to do this with you. Yes, I mean, and then I'd love to kind of get into it because I know you're always in a role where you're supporting other people. This is where you can flip the tables and be supported. Um, so how can I best support you today?
Well, the best thing that I could be supported on is overcoming that stand that everything needs to be perfect.
Hmm.
I lagged on getting my program out there. I actually signing up for your podcast in the last couple of weeks prompted me to just be like, you know what, let me just get it out there because I know it, that's part of the biggest missing step that I have is like not everything needs to be perfect. There needs to be that learning curve. There needs to be that ability to like task switch and to fine tune things as I go. And it's never going to be perfect until I just do it. And it's still in the back of my mind. Like before our call, you asked me a couple questions, and it popped up again. And that's kind of what I'm thinking is like that's the biggest way I could be uh, supported is like that's where I'm at. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it definitely does. So, I mean, number one, kudos to you for actually taking action through this process of like, okay, well, I signed up for this thing and then I submitted, like, I'm not taking actions on these things, and you actually end up taking action. So kudos to that as well. Now, if we just look at that, like those events in isolation, so you are able to take the action, okay, but in this instance required basically the accountability or the external pressure to pull the trigger. on them. Okay. So why do you think that is?
Part of it is I believe that um it's I'm a coach. I have the title. I actually do performance career coaching. So there's accountability and everything there. And part of it is these people are counting on me to help them, but how can I help them if I don't know if I'll don't have everything perfect? And I think that's part of it, and not and I know that it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm still providing value. I'm still supporting them. So helping them. But in the back of my mind, it's like, well, if I get this wrong, I'm hurting them, even though I know that's in reality, that's not really the case if I can, knowing that I can work around it and be there.
Okay. So I guess even just from there, you basically have two limiting beliefs that you're using as lenses to view the world, right? How can I help them if I don't have everything perfect? Right? Put a different way, I have to be perfect in order to be helpful. And if I get this thing wrong, then I'm actively hurting them. Okay. So with that reflection, like what lands for you with that?
That it's oh wow, that's a good question. That when I hear it out loud, that it doesn't actually um make sense because I am helping them and I know that I am, and that not everyone's the same. So like everything's going to be changed in a way, and I'm really good at like seeing, like hearing the room, listening, actively listening, and being able to move forward. So when I actually hear it out loud, it's just like I'm thinking like what actually is it? Is it that, or is there something deeper? Because like I said, when I hear it hits different.
Hmm. So even though like you hear it, and then when you hear it externalized, you're like, okay, well, that intellectually doesn't make any sense, but does it actually feel true emotionally?
The hurting part kind of does, because I don't want to hurt anybody. I actually want to make sure that they get the help that they need. So like emotionally, I'm never gonna intentionally put anyone in that position to where they leave worse off than they are when they first got come to me for assistance and help. So yes, that part. The first part of everything needs to be perfect, no, because everything already is perfect, and everything just evolves, and just creating like what I say, like the evidence of my program and everything.
Hmm. So again, intellectually, that is true.
Mhm.
Yet when I asked you, what can I support you with? Your first answer was, I want to overcome perfectionism.
Right.
Right. So to what degree do you think the feelings, and if the feelings are representing kind of like your subconscious operating system, to what degree do you think your feelings actually believe what you intellectually know to be true?
I mean, I want to say at the moment when I have those moments and everything, I want to say that they're very spot on in those feelings, because I like they're there, and I feel it. And then when I take a step back, I don't that's where the confusion comes in, because like I know that I inherently know that that doesn't need to be that way, and it's just like an image thing, projection thing that I have.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So when you think about releasing something out into the world that's, 70, 80% done, that's unpolished, it's not perfect.
Mm.
How do you feel in your body?
In my body, I actually feel once I got it out there, I feel really good
So
because I
not when
like,
once you got it out there, before you
yeah.
get it out there. Because even if you look
Um,
at like the whole course thing that we started this, right? Like I don't know, whatever it was you submitted to be on here, there's maybe about a week and a half, two gap.
mm,
Okay. Between like then and now, because we had some reschedules in between. So when you scheduled this, you were already hesitating to press publish.
right.
Then there was some time passing, like, okay, no, I'm going to do this because now I'm going to make an appearance. I want to be better than when I started, which is admirable,
Mm,
right? So, not how it feels after it's said and done, because there's always going to be a sense of relief after it's said and done, because it's never as bad as we think it is. But how do you feel in the hesitation of getting it out there?
I it was feeling like a little bit insecure because it wasn't fully, not fully, how should I say, proven. And then there was a little bit of why in doubt, and a little bit of doubting my in doubting of it. So it was a combination of that. I guess there was a little bit of impostercism there for a second, but that kind of quickly went. That part went away. But I can acknowledge that it was there for a quick second.
Hmm. So, if you're looking at that cumulative experience, right, that one of hesitation, where the majority of my hesitation is spent in various versions of doubt, whether it's imposter syndrome, whether it's insecurity, whether it's nervousness, anxiousness, whatever. Okay, it'll change and take different forms. If you're looking at that space where you inherently feel the hesitation that you feel
Mhm.
as indicative of what your true beliefs actually are, is that something that lands for you or not necessarily? Like, how do you respond to having that reflected back?
I definitely think the hesitation part hits, like it's there. It's there. Um, how do I respond? The question was, how do I respond to it, or did I misunderstand?
Well, no, just what I was nicely how you respond to the hesitation. I was referring to just what I was sharing with you, but yes, even how do you respond to the hesitation? What is it that you actually do?
So what I did for in this instance was I kind of just took a step back. I took a couple of deep breaths, did some breathing activity, and then I asked myself some questions on, like, why, like, as if I was being coached myself. And then and then it was like, I should just trust, like, back of my sign says, just trust the process, just put it out there, and let's see what happens. The hesitation part was what was hitting me was this, like what I said earlier, like, how can I actually help someone if I don't know if this is done, or if this is like a proven way of me doing it. And then as I was sitting there thinking about it, the only way that's going to happen is if I put the metrics together myself. And then and so it was a little bit of all of that all together. And then the accountability of being on your show and everything also was like, well, you know what, that was like the final nail. It was just like, you know what, I'm doing this thing, so let me just get it there. So, like, yeah. And then listening to one of your podcasts too, I was just like, yeah, I'm doing this.
Okay, fair enough. So, in order to do this action that's actually going to move my business forward, I have to psych myself up in some ways. I'm asking myself questions. I have to, basically coach myself, use all of these tools to switch where my mind's thinking,
Yeah.
right? And then I do this thing where now I have some additional external pressures for additional accountability. And then before I show up live to this thing, I make sure I do the action so that a kind of save face. Okay. And I'm not saying any of this in a judgmental way. I'm just kind of reflecting back. Like that's kind of the actions and the events that took place to get you here, correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay, perfect. So if I now asked you a random question of, are you a thief? How would you respond?
I would I mean, I would say that in the past I've stolen things, so but I wouldn't say that that's my identity now. Like, I stole a candy bar from the store, some my dad had the bracelet that I liked, so I wore it for a day and didn't tell him, so I considered that like I stole it, even though like it went back to him and stuff, but still.
Hmm. Perfect. And I appreciate the honesty, by the way. Like that, I think that's super cool. Um, so you mentioned the word identity in there. I don't identify as a thief. Okay.
Right.
So when you look at your present day life, do you have to work hard to not steal?
No,
Okay.
I
Do you
don't
have
do
to,
it.
sorry?
I just don't do it.
Correct. You just don't do it.
Right.
So do you have to psych yourself up and coach yourself not to steal right now?
No,
Do you have to get accountability and external pressure to ensure that you're kept in line and you don't steal?
no,
No. Okay. So what do you think is the difference between your identity of not stealing now and going forward and doing the actions that need to be done within your business? What do you think is the difference in those examples?
ooh, one is like like the right and wrong aspect. Like it's wrong just to steal and take things, and then the right, and so that's not much of a thought for me because it's wrong. So I'm not gonna do it.
Hmm.
And then the coaching thing, the difference with that is I actually have people's lives in my hands per se.
Well, I mean, writing their resume doesn't necessarily sound like you're going to save their life. I'm not saying it's not impactful. It definitely is, but it seems a little extreme that your lives are in, like their lives are in your hands because you're rewriting their resume.
Right, it goes deeper than that because I like, but I get what you're saying. It's like I have their I should let me switch it around, say my words and say like I've actually taken a big part of their career with by them
Right.
entrusting me with writing and helping them navigate their careers, their goals, their um how to quantify and how to untap their talents and achievements that they have done that they don't realize that they have achieved, things like that. So but yeah, it's like one is the wrong, which you said, like the thief. I don't have to think about stealing or anything like that because it's wrong. And then the other one is like, well, I have, like people are counting on me to a certain degree to help them out out of their situation that they're in or improve their career. So
Right.
like,
And that's fair. So if you're just isolating you,
mhm.
right, what is the difference then? Why is it such a no-brainer to not steal? And why is it such a hard thing to just press publish on a course of your own expertise?
I guess when it comes down to it, and well, not I guess I know when I think about it even more, and the kind of question is, it's an image thing. I think it's that. I think it's not where I want it to be, so I'm hesitant on pushing publish because it's in my eyes, it's not where I want it to be. And I get and internally that's like I want to be, let's just say perfect, but no one's perfect. But I
Hmm.
guess a projection of perfect or a projection of like credibility.
Fair. So
Yeah. So I think
ultimately,
that.
it's an identity piece, right?
Right.
Because you
Yeah.
said it yourself. my identity is no longer that of like somebody who playfully steals. So I don't even think about it.
Mhm.
Your identity right now is of somebody who's mirrored in perfectionism and doubt. That's why you have to work so hard to go against your identity. That's why you have to work so hard to psych yourself up to press publish. So you have to get external pressures to overcome who you are effectively not in this moment, right? And this is changeable. And my
Mhm.
working definition of identity is anything that you think, feel, and act consistently. Okay. And anything that you think, feel, and act consistently generates the results that you experience in your life. So everything you think, feel, and act is in alignment with the result of you, not going to jail for stealing. Because it's just, like you said, it's not something that I do. I don't have to think about it. It's fine. Now, everything you think, feel, and do is in alignment with an identity, or rather, your identity is in alignment with the results of basically moving your business forward in a very slow fashion. Because the hesitation is actually a more honest representation of your identity than the action you took to press publish on that course. Why? Because the catalyst for that was actually external, right? It wasn't internal. It was signing up on this thing and being like, okay, I'm going to show up in a different way. Now it's admirable, it's to be celebrated. And I'm not at all saying it's a negative thing. I'm just trying to reflect to you, your issue is not a awareness understanding issue. Even with your submissions of like what you wanted to cover today, they were very self-aware. Like you knew exactly where your perfectionist tendencies show up. You knew exactly where doubt shows up. You knew exactly how that creates hesitation in your actions, right? So this is not about me highlighting something to you that you don't already know as a coach yourself. This is about recognizing that the real problem you have to solve is a who am I problem, an identity problem. Okay. So before I go on, what lands for you with all of that?
Uh, it's spot on. And um, yeah, it's spot on in that you're very aware too, that which I like.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So then if that feels true for you, then the question becomes, okay, like if I'm recognizing what the real problem is, like, do you have an idea of how to change your identity?
uh, I would be like be who be who you are, just like show up as you. And
Well, it's like you're already doing that.
so it's more
Like
of
we're all doing that. And the reason we strive is we strive for goals that our current identity doesn't actually allow to happen. And I mean, that's true for me, that's true for everyone. That's why we strive and we strive to evolve, right? So who you are right now is actually perfectly reflective of the results that you're getting. And if you're not getting the results that you want, right? So the first step is recognizing that, okay, well, who I am is creating those particular results. And it's not a judgment call, even though like it seems like it's belittling. It's not at all. It's just accepting that allows you to accept responsibility that, okay, if I don't like the results that I'm getting, then the real problem I have to solve is actually improving who I am, right?
right,
How I think, feel, and act. So the question of, do you know how to change your identity is one of that. Is like, do you actually have a reliable process for changing how you think, feel, and act in alignment with the results that you want so that you could actually grow your business from the same inner state that you felt when I asked you if you steal? Like it's like a matter of fact, no, I don't. So if you could upgrade your identity to be in that same frame of, well, I know this is imperfect, but I feel totally fine just sending it out. What's next? That's the aim with which you want to have an identity up level with. Okay, so again, what's landing with all of that?
It's I'm thinking of like what would I tell like my client in that in the when you say that when you were asking all that, and it's like that's what's landing. It's like how would I address this with the client? And it would be write things down, brainstorm, what are your obstacles, questions like that come to my in my hand. And then okay, once you have all the obstacles, like then what are your plans? And what actions can you take today to start to get you closer to your commitment goal, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
So that's
which
what landing in my
will
head when you said all that, and
correct.
that's
And I mean, in some ways you are correct. Like it is about, okay, do we have a process for this? Do you have a plan for this? Yes, you are correct. Um, I think more specifically, like this particular piece is going to require deeper work
mm-hmm.
than kind of planning, right? So from like if we kind of go back to what we started this whole conversation with, when you initially gave me those answers, right, there was like essentially two major beliefs that popped up, right? How can I help them if I don't have everything perfect? If I get this wrong, I'm hurting them. Okay, so if I can update my identity by updating and upleveling what I think, feel, and act. So right now, you already know that you have two limiting beliefs that I just mentioned. So basically, the premise here is like, do you actually know how to bust and work through those beliefs?
uh, parts of it. Yes, the first one I know is it's um I'm able to say like well everything's perfect, just move forward, get it out there, help people, and then now I'm like it's out there already. I'm starting it, and it feel
So
and
I would just,
I
and I know I'm interrupting you here, and it's just, it's not because I'm not like I'm trying to cut off what you want to say. What I want to point out that is, so there's a difference between changing, like updating the thought that you want to have, basically like changing the inner station. So like, okay, how can I help them if I don't have everything perfect? Okay, well, that's not really like the best. So what's a better thought? Okay, well, not everything's perfect. It doesn't actually exist. It's perfect as it is, etc. Okay, that's better. Okay, but inherently, it's not actually changing the inherent belief with which your subconscious operates on. And the way that you know your subconscious is rooted in this is like your results show it. Like so much of your questions, so much of your prompts, so much of your actions are rooted in, gotta get this thing right before we even do it. Okay. That means it's your subconscious which generally generates the feelings and the actions we all take. It's operating under this particular lens. So you can't get to that kind of superficially with just being like, well, better thought is everything's already perfect. Yeah, that is a better thought. I agree with you. And it's only as good as your ability to actually believe it. And you know, you believe it if you can act with it with full integrity, meaning feeling. Okay. So again, what lands for you with that?
uh it's what's landing on me at that actually when you bring it up is my what I like to call my inner nerd. So like my inner nerd's popping up all the time. So which is one of them is procrastinating and having, and the other one is um how do I say it? And like I actually kind of forgot like the actual word I used when I first made it, but it's like the I guess like having everyone like me or having everyone approve of me. So like that's the best way I could say right now. I don't have the exact word I use, but those are my two inner nerds.
Okay. Yeah, and that's fair. We're all gonna have like different parts of us. And I think you're alluding to something as well, which is, and this is very common with like smart people, right? And like you just mentioned like you're my inner nerd, right? So all of these associations are with your intellect, right? Intellect is a great tool, but it's a horrible operating system with which to not just explore yourself, but also make decisions and improve how you're being. Okay. All of these issues that you are experiencing, the hesitation, the perfectionism, the doubt, the imposter syndrome, they're actually all rooted in feelings. Like if you felt complete joy in pressing send when your course was 80% complete or it was unproven, would we even be having this conversation?
No,
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 correct. Right.
right.
So the hurdle to, like you asked about overcoming perfectionism, first is to recognize that that's not an intellectual problem. You are going to have a tendency to nerd out on it and figure out more about it and have more awareness around it and understand it deeper and read another book about it. Okay. And that to some degree has its value.
Mhm,
The actual solution to it is understanding and knowing how to work through and reconcile your actual emotions around it and allowing your nervous system to feel as neutral and or as good about the bigger actions you want to take as you feel about not stealing.
mhm,
Right. So you have a visceral representation of what that's like. One is totally matter of fact. The other one is a willful experience of having to push myself against who I currently am. Okay. When you know
mhm,
how to work with your feelings to release that, that's when more speed, more business results opens up to you because you can actually do bigger actions with less friction. So, what lands for you with that?
I'm getting I'm still processing it. I understand it. Like so I'm like intrigued to hear more.
Okay, perfect. So when you're saying you're still processing, what does that mean to you?
the the feeling, the underlying feelings. I'm still processing that part of it because like you said, intellectually I get it, but it goes beyond that. Like I can collect all the data behind it, but what do I do? What do I do with all of it?
Cool. And I do acknowledge you because you're actually doing a really good job of just staying in the fire. I know I'm throwing a lot of things your way, as in like, well, you don't understand this, you understand that, or like you gotta look at this, you gotta look at that. Um, I know it can feel like a fire hose to the face, and
Mhm.
none of what I'm saying is to judge in any way, right? Because
Right.
I
Yeah.
deal with this literally every day, and it's kind of like the curse of the intellectual, right? And I
Right.
applaud you for also taking a pause and being like, you know what, I'm actually still processing it, and I'm trying to figure out what is that? Where is it actually landing? Because that's actually part of the process is because your brain has served you so well in the past to get you success, right? I have been able to figure things out. I've been able to study things and make a plan about it and do all of those are great and are needed tools, right? We said like an intellect is a tool. It's at the expense of or at the bypassing of the actual fuel for your actions, which is your emotions. So it is a learnable skill. It is something that can be facilitated that like it's literally what I do every single day with clients is like help them reconcile those conflicting emotions so that the thing that they consciously envision they can easily do. Okay. So long story short, to just simply say that kind of okay, there's something new here. Like that's a like you're opening up the right door.
Mhm.
for this evolution for you. So again, any comments you want to make to that?
No, I'm listening and yeah, it's I like it so far. I like this whole being here because it's like I know that the uncomfortable like part in something in my brain's thinking. So I actually kind of it's odd to say it. It feels odd to say it out loud, but I'm sure it makes sense to you. Is like
Yeah,
it's yeah yeah. I like being in that spot where it's making me think and making me like question things and everything.
absolutely. So yeah, that's what you're here for. So if we zoom out a little bit, like what is it that you ultimately want?
What I actually want is to be able to help others and then to be able to honestly to be able to support all of my goals and commitments that I have for my future. So
Hmm.
it's well, but ultimately to help others.
Okay. Well, I mean, to some degree, you're already helping others because you've done this work or piece of this work already, and you're going to continue doing it. So it's like, yes, you can do that on a bigger scale. I get it.
Mhm.
So if you get specific with regards to what it is that you want,
Mhm.
okay, what would that actually look like?
Specifically, I want to scale my business to be able to start doing speaking engagements and then to have a staff, US based staff, have them have a good to be able to earn a good living through my business, and then the lastly is to get into real estate with a couple of rentals down the line.
Okay. So does that feel exciting to you to vocalize?
Yes, because it's like I'm like the financial part is not there yet, but the fact that I'm actually taking steps and actions and I can actually like see it, um, like to be able to see that there is going in that direction is really I don't know, it's like a relief, I guess,
Hmm. So a relief of what?
of like I'm taking steps and I'm not just like it's not added stress because I'm not just sitting there looking at it in the wall. I'm actually like in that process.
Okay, fair. And do you think the identity you have right now matches materializing the aspirations that you have?
Right now, it's I can see it. Is it there? I sometimes I say yes, sometimes I say no.
Hmm. So take it back to how you
Or
felt about stealing. Is it with that level of assuredness that you can say yes?
no.
Okay. Let's go back to the original question. Do you think your identity matches your vision right now?
And I would have to say no.
Okay. So I also acknowledge you for that because I know it's not an easy thing to admit, especially in like a relatively public forum. B, I also celebrate you for getting there because it's also not easy to admit to yourself. And again, it's not a judgment or belittling thing. It's more of a let's get in contact with reality so we can take responsibility for what's here,
Mhm.
right? That's the gap, right? Obviously, I haven't seen your work. I don't know your work, but I would venture to guess that it's more than good enough given your description and how deeply you think about things. Like it's likely to be more than good enough than what's needed to actually make, whatever business aspirations you have a reality, at least in some relative short term. The gap between where you are and that is all of these identity pieces, knowing how to bust through those beliefs, getting acquainted with and knowing how to reconcile and work through your emotions so that they can be used as fuel, not as hesitation, and all the actions you need to take, right? That will remove the friction to all
Mhm.
of the actions that you need to take in order to materialize the vision that you do have. And only from that perspective are you actually going to overcome the inertia of what now looks like perfectionism. But it's essentially all these inner processes just holding you back. So again, what lands for you with all that?
It's just unleashing those feelings and allowing myself to acknowledge them, but not stop me, not hold me back. That's what's going on in my head. How I got there, I think it's just a soul process.
That's fair. So in terms of just having deeper awareness around kind of like what you came here to get, does it feel like you've gotten there, or is there still something left outstanding?
I think I got there. I think I got to know that it's it's around feelings and my and internal feelings and stuff. Now it's that next step of going through those feelings.
Correct. That is going to be your next step. So yes, I do agree with you with that. Um, okay, so if the awareness around this feels complete for you, this would be a good place to close. So does that feel okay with you?
Yes, it does.
Okay, cool. So yeah, in order for us to complete that, so yeah, floor is yours. Let everybody know where to find you, who's the best person to find you. Right, floor is yours for that.
Okay. First, I want to say thank you. I appreciate that. All right. Well, I am Rose Heart Coaching. I help mid career professionals who are looking for to go into the next step, who feel like they're in a hamster wheel, rather that is either through a promotion, through the acknowledgement of finding achievements, or even switching different to a different like career path. So where to find me, I'm on my website's roseheartcoaching.com. That's ROSZHART coaching.com. And I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram. Those are my other two platforms. And it's under the same name, Roseheart Coaching.
Okay, awesome. Well, Joseph, thank you very much for agreeing to be witnessed in this way and kind of be run through the ringer in this way. Appreciate it. And yeah, for everybody else listening, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.